This is just a little update video. And I'll talk about the game here a bit and the website in a second. So again, LM Studio I use and Visual Studio to run the code. I myself, I'm not a coder. Whatever I talk about the code, whatever I say has no weight whatsoever. If you want to know what programmer think, you have to watch programmers videos, but I'm just tinkering around with. And what I can say already, you can see here basically, let's start with the game because it's more interesting. You see two characters running around. I can control them by pressing WASD. It took me a while to get to the scene. I also use some of my Blender files. So here you can see a little trees I created in Blender, and I placed them into this game here. This world is built on a friend's. His nickname is Raven, this guy, right? So Raven and Dog are two of my friends, and so they run around together, and you can see the left side, the status bar. When I press the space bar and switch characters, you see now status Dog, status Raven. This is built on Raven's. He's writing a Japanese story. I forgot what that is called again. Let me check that quickly. Okay, I checked. It's his first isekai. So isekai. I'm gonna write that somewhere. Where can I write that? Is there a place here to write anything? Here maybe, huh? Yeah, I can do that. So it's called isekai. Okay, that's something I've learned. With an I at the end. So there is an I here. Okay, anyway, so here he's writing a story, and it's kind of like a game story. He has basically some, Raven is level 5 and Doc is level 4. And I told AI, hey, listen, check out the story, extract the information, the character status information out of the story, and on that we build a game. And so create those stats are built on Raven's isekai. Just saying, the world itself is not. The world is just randomly generated, and I tinkered around with, wanted to see what can I do, how far can I get there. Anyway, so we have a tiny little pie game running, and you can see there are some trees, and I figured out with the code about colliders, which is not new to me. I've done, on this channel there is a game called Apartment Racer. And I created this game in Blender's game engine, basically. UPPGE is that called? It's like a side project. It's Blender used to support a game engine, but they kind of split it. Anyway, the reason I tell you that is the Apartment Racer I created in this UPPGE Blender game render engine. Was the most intuitive programming language for me. I also tried Godot, and Godot is a little bit better because it's more popular. You have more videos, but when it comes to use it for a guy like me, this was so easy. The access, I checked out other game engines. This was the most intuitive way for visual guys like me to program anything by using nodes. So that was a thing. Then later I tried Godot 2. I created actually a 3D game which nobody has seen with the help of a friend of Doc actually. He helped me to create interfaces for the game. But we tinkered around, and it was the beginning. It was around the time where AI also started to become a thing. ChatGPT was available, but no local AI, especially not for free. So that was 2 years ago or something. Feels longer, maybe 3 years ago. And I still have this project saved somewhere. But anyway, there is a reason why I say that. And now, with that, I understand a tiny bit of programming. So I can orientate myself, I can, change the size of the window, I can change colors, and I could also tell AI to use some color values. And, so orientating myself, this is the task. And so I was able to do that. But I also want to tell you that the most rewarding feeling When it comes to AI vibe coding, in this, in my experience, the last couple of days, it is not very rewarding. So it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I like it a lot. I think it's a very powerful and awesome tool, and it maybe helps me to get into programming, at least to understand it a little bit better. It's nothing compared to when you learn programming from scratch, which I would also recommend. If you really want to get into, don't just do it from scratch. Follow a tutorial, use AI to if you have questions, because the people in the tutorials, they are always a little bit too fast. They just, we gotta use a function. And then what the heck is a function? And you can use AI as an assistant to learn that from scratch. That I would recommend. Do I do that? Of course not. Why would I do that? But anyway, so it helps me to find my way a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about the game. So what can we do? We can walk around. We have the Raven, we have Doc, and when I press the spacebar, we switch characters. There is stamina going on, and when we reach stamina 0, we should actually stop. And there was a time when this worked out, but there is also a randomness to AI. So whenever I prompt AI to make a change, there's always a randomness. Something breaks. You change something and something breaks. I think maybe this is also a normal part of programming, because you change something and then you accidentally break something. But with AI, it's not consistent. Maybe it is if you write a great prompt. The more accurate your prompt is, the more the better chances of succeeding. But anyway, so some versions earlier, when the stamina reached 0, then the characters basically stopped and had to regenerate automatically. So I have to kind of fix that. You see here those little tiny houses, they are actually wolves. So we have a HP bar, and when I press the E key, we can hit the guy and he disappears. So the wolf is not attacking us, but he disappears simply. And yeah, we have some trees. And at first those trees, because they're using PNG files with the alpha information, they were kind of too large, and the collider it was no fun walking around, because I constantly bumped against invisible walls. That also counted for the bushes. Those are the bushes Doc is standing on. And those are stones, which I still have to replace with some pictures. And yeah, so I was able to set it up so that I can find the collider. Actually, we should have here, is this the game? Yeah, this is the game. So we should have collider here already. Game object collider, yeah, but we should also have game object. I'm looking for trees. Let's look for trees. Trees. They should have a collider to change. Let me see. No. Hey. No, I don't think. Oh, here the collider. So we have. We didn't have a function before. I think this is a function. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know that. So collider is now the scale is tinier because the pictures. When I created those pictures, by the way, that was yesterday, just for fun, because I wanted to. I have some older Blender projects which those are kind of broken, but I broke them intentionally. Reason for that is for the Blender people. I created those pictures in. Those trees, and they look good in Eve, but in Cycles, I wanted to use Cycles because of the shadow catcher. They didn't look so good, so I had to break them and get rid of some of the images, and that's why those things look very broken when I turn this one here off. I did this intentionally so they look like shit basically, but with the compositor, it becomes instantly a pixel game again. Just I thought that's funny. Because it's, those. I also have many older projects, like also you see the house. This is a project from 2 years ago, which I never finished. I wanted to build a house, but then I created a car and sci-fi stuff and robots, so I abandoned that. But I can still use it for the pixelation style, which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's what we can do. We can walk around and we can swap characters, we can attack wolves, and we can explore those houses a little bit. Yeah, that was fun to do, but like I said, the most rewarding feeling was when I use my own assets, and I think that's the problem with AI. I think this is also why at some point when you prompt AI, it becomes empty when you do that. I think that's what it is, because you don't create anything. You just watch and you prompt something, and then it's AI is starting to create. And that might be good for a website, because I don't need a soul in a website. I need that to be functional. But for a game, this is different, because you want to have a soul in the game. And I don't know. It's a weird thing. And so you prompt something, it creates, and I know a lot about learning. And what I've realized is I do not get much of a rewarding feeling back, except if I put my own stuff into that. And so whenever I learn something, sure, but otherwise, no. I think that's why, yeah. But this doesn't mean I don't like it. I like it really a lot. And I repeat myself on this one, but I want this to be clear. I also think VibeCoder should, to a certain degree, understand code, and the coder, they should try to accept that this is what people want you to use, despite the fact that you know better. That's what it is, right? I guess. But don't fight it too much when you're too young. Don't get depressed also, especially when you're young and healthy. Be frustrated for a while, but do not get sad or get the feeling of what's that all for. It doesn't really matter. If you have that feeling, go out into the forest. Anyway, so it's fun. But now this is the game is interesting to play around with VibeCoding, but the website is the main goal, which is really here two different things. The website is really something I wanna get done so that you can download some of my work. And also watch, or check it out or whatever. I need a website, it's YouTube is completely, it's not organized, it's very scattered, and that's fine. But a website is actually fun to play around with, and I think I can finish that one. And I was also thinking about putting it on a I can create. This is the website right now. This is the updated version also. And I was playing around, checking out some options for me for living in Germany. I think this guy is probably what I get. So first I was thinking I'm gonna use GitHub Pages, but I still need to rent a domain. So I still have to, spend money anyways. So I'm not sure if and GitHub Pages has also a limitation. So I cannot, I have Blender files, videos, render pictures. So I need a little bit more space for if I want to offer anything, right? So, and they can be quite large. So if I have like for OBS recording, not a GIF animation, but like a whole thing like this one, for example, they are quite large. How large is this approximately? Well, it doesn't really matter. It could be up to a gigabyte, and that's already it, but for GIF animations, sure, I don't need so much space. So I think this doesn't look too bad to me, but I'm still thinking about this. Anyway, so website cool, game interesting. I'm not saying I'm stopping, but I think I go back to Godot, and I wanna try Godot again, but this time I'm gonna scale down a little bit. I'm gonna do a 2D game, not because it's more difficult. It's just it is more difficult, but because well, depending on what you want, it can be more difficult. I think I got inspired by this one because in Blender I created yesterday seamless textures for the ground. You can see here the textures I created, the houses. Now I was thinking, hey, in this way I can use all my shitty projects, because if this becomes more pixelated anyways, right? It's interesting for me. So I could create those assets here a little bit faster, which I like because fast is good for me. I need to see visually. And speaking about visually, Godot comes with the ability to have also an editor in Godot. So you can basically preview your world, and then you can set up the world, build the world, and then jump into the world, play around, and then jumping out and change the using the editor again and change the art style and so on. You can also do that with Pygame. I tried that too. I prompt AI, said, hey, create an editor, make it functional. It kind of worked. It was broken, of course, but it kind of worked. But I also see the limitation for AI on my system in terms of memory usage. And the bigger the project becomes, the harder it is for AI to be consistent about something, And what drives me crazy and what is very not rewarding, you see the path here, for instance. I tried with everything else. I can scale the house. I can make the house bigger. I can also scale the collider of the house. I tried to tell AI I want to do the same thing except the collider with the path here, and it doesn't do it. No matter what I did, it always made it super big or super tiny, or then it was scattered. And this is where you do not feel in control or whatsoever. And this is where vibe coding is becoming empty. This feels very depressing, because not just don't you get what you want, but even if you get what you want, it's not your creation. I think that's, psychology-wise, that's where people feel maybe, except if you're a psychopath, maybe, empty inside, because it's not your thing, Great for learning. It's a great tool to use. And at some point, life and I think the world is so complex that we have to use more complex tools, and we don't understand them either. And that's fine, because let's be honest, we don't understand how our phone works. Also, we don't use it. The same thing counts for the computer. We have this idea that, I know I ramble now, but a little bit, so be prepared. We have this idea that we are in control of everything. We can understand. No, we don't. We already don't know how a computer works. We have a rough idea, but even programmers are limited. They can understand maybe the code, but they cannot build the hardware themselves. They can get a close idea, but you cannot build it yourself. What I mean. So this is already happening, and it becomes even more complex. It will reach, I think, just to ramble a little bit more. I think right now, all humans combined are stronger. We are combined, we are still stronger than AI. We are more capable to combine than AI is. But there will be a time when this is where it gets interesting. Not crucial, not bad, not good, we'll see. But, what I mean by that, we all, as a single person, doesn't understand how a computer works. But we as humanity, as all humans combined, I say that all humans combined because sometimes I say humidity. We understand the world and we understand the computer. We can build, as a human race, we can build computers. A single person can't. And we also still more capable than AI, for sure, without any doubt. But when this is equal, that's already interesting. And when we are away still from that, but this is really interesting. This is some interesting podcast shit. Anyway, so I'm very excited. I think the whole topic to me is very interesting. It's fun playing around with that. And this is the updated game. I just wanted to show you that it's cool. And Raven has here his stats. And I would like to make a game, because Raven can then write his story. Maybe we're going to use the story he already has. But I think I would really change to Godot, because I need to see the visual editor and got inspired. So it's very likely that I do something like that. But first, website is more important. So I want to really finish that. Although the game is kind of fun too. It reminds me strongly on Baldur's Gate, those trees, I like Baldur's Gate 2 graphics a lot. It's very magical. So it's like a not this one, but Baldur's Gate. It's pretty. And the more I see the code here, the more I think this is incredible. So this is what people used to see, something like that. Creating a game like Baldur's Gate, it's incredible. It's incredible. I think this is so awesome that people used to do that and still doing this. It's not my cup of tea at all. It's but maybe I will find a way to get to understand that. Like I said, depends on the person. There are some people who I can watch a program. I can see, okay, I understand completely why they like programming. They have a great access to the programming language understanding. They see a code. They also have to learn that. But there is always a strength and a weakness, and there's some people are better suited for that. They see a text and have already starting to compute. I see text and I'm confused as heck. I wanted to mix up the words as fuck and as heck. Anyway, so I rambled anyways. I really tried. You know, I had another video. I was rambling. I was thinking, no, I'm just going to talk about the game. That's it. Can do it. And maybe fuck it, whatever. It is what it is. So this is probably what I'm gonna, check out here. Or maybe this one is a little bit cheaper. I mean, 20 gigabyte is also okay, right? But here it has website only free. In my understanding, I can have 3 pages basically, right? And here this is unlimited. Yeah. So I checked also, this is the whole offer is basically, it costs me like 10 euro a month for the website, and then I have one. And then you have here KI builder. I don't need that. I have already my own KI builder. Anyway, interesting time, also boring time. One thing I want to hand. It becomes more sci-fi and interesting, but it still doesn't change when you go outside. It's still the same feeling. When I go outside and look at a tree, it's still the same feeling. The same feeling I had when I was a child. It's interesting, how this world is so stressful and interesting and cool and boring and dull and fascinating. The internet world I'm talking about, and then you go out and it's easy, It's just a tree. A tree is a tree. I like that. This is, So if life gets overwhelmed, go out. Always have to say, always this advice thing is also annoying in YouTube. Always this advice. Everybody has an advice, including myself. So annoying. Going by Hoyt. Let's kill another wolf. And also the pathfinding. See, let's talk about the game quickly. You see, I can lose the dock sometimes, or when I press the spacebar. Now, because Raven cannot follow because there's collision in the way. So I think what games usually do, what I would tell her, I would say, hey, here's a problem, here's the code, rewrite the whole code, make sure that the active player, the not active player has no collision so that it can follow the active player easily. I think that would be the solution to that. That's the easiest thing I can think of. So I know what I want, I just have to... here's a enemy. Here we go. So I would have shown you the story a little bit. He has already 2 chapters, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. So I have to ask Matthew. I know, I keep saying the name too. I always try to say only the nickname. Happened in the last video too, the same thing. I was thinking, that was the thing, I don't want to share that. But okay, as long as I'm not sharing more than that, it's okay, I guess. His address, where he lives, bank account. Okay, whatever, bye bye.